What is good? What is good, everybody? It's your boy Cam. Tonight is game day as the Mavericks take on the Phoenix Suns, and they're actually on the road tonight. And it should be a pretty good one and a very tough battle tonight as we try to get revenge over the Phoenix Suns after losing the last two against them. And I do also want to talk about the Mavs playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I want to get feedback on that. The Mavericks actually end up coming up short against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Christmas Day. So everybody pretty much just had a pretty sloppy game except for Kyrie. And Kyrie actually finished with 39 points against the Timberwolves. But we had some pretty bad news for Luka Doncic actually. So Luka actually went down with a calf strain with a non-contact hit, and he actually was hurting himself, and he ended up leaving the game in the second quarter. And then Luka did not come back for the rest of the game. So there's been more bad news about his injury. So they're now saying that Luka Doncic is supposed to miss at least a month, which is not good at all. This is not good for the team. But we've been playing pretty well without Luka. Now we're 6-3 without him, but we definitely gonna need him when we play against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Boston Celtics, especially when playoff time gets here. We're definitely gonna need Luka. And and I honestly think we'll be all right as long as we still have Kyrie, as long as he's still playing. But we definitely need to get Dante Exum back. He's supposed to be coming back like pretty soon. He's supposed to be back either January or February. We definitely need Dante Exum back. He can definitely be another dude that can step up for Luca. Once we get everybody back and they're healthy, we'll definitely be a deeper team going into the season and definitely going into the playoffs. So just prayers for Luca. Hopefully he gets right. We definitely be back by the time we play with the Boston Celtics at the end of the month of January. So Klay Thompson finished with 12 points, and Quentin Grimes finished with 10. It is and the rest, pretty much the bench just had a really rough game going against the Timberwolves. Daniel Gafford only played 13 minutes and didn't score a single point, didn't even get a single rebound. And Daniel Gafford just had a really off game, but hopefully he will bounce back tonight, and I believe he will. And I believe we could definitely bounce back as we get ready to take on the Phoenix Suns. So what it actually what ended up happening is like after Luca went down with the injury, the momentum just like brought down to the team. Everybody just got down after he just went down with the injury going into that second quarter. And the Mavericks actually only ended up finishing with 16 points in the second quarter. They only ended up scoring 16 points in the second. And then that's what really killed the momentum. And that's what I think what really messed up the game when they had that very terrible second quarter. But going to the third, they came out, they was making buckets, but couldn't get any stops on defense. It was pretty much going back and forth like the third quarter. But and the Mavericks were end up being down 28 in the third quarter. They end up being down 28 going into the fourth quarter. Actually, not going to the fourth quarter. They were actually down 28 in the third, but actually end up cutting it down, I believe, to 20 going into the fourth. Going into the fourth, that's when the Mavericks really pushed the pace. That's why I think they should have had that pace going into the third quarter. But the fourth quarter, they came out on fire, ready to hit, just ready to trying to win that game. Even though they came up short, but Kyrie hit all his free throws. He shot 100% from the free throw line actually, and I think the Mavericks did pretty well shooting at the free throw line. And they did have some turnovers. And PJ Washington actually had a real rough game. He didn't even score until the fourth quarter, and I think that's what also messed up the game. And PJ just had a really off game against the Timberwolves. But again, like I said, hopefully he'll bounce back tonight after this tough loss against the Timberwolves. And Mavericks fought hard and they fought back. And I knew they would come back against the Timberwolves. like I said, it's still pretty kind of early in the season, but just take it one game at a time to get ready for the Phoenix Suns. So the Mavericks ended up cutting it down to like the closest they got to was two. They that was the closest they got it to going into the there was like a minute or two left, but that shot Kyrie attempted, I did not like that shot at all. But he decides after they call a timeout, Jason Kidd calls a timeout. Kyrie decides to rush and take a step back long 3-point. I think that was not a good shot Kyrie took. I'm like, he was getting to the hole in the almost the entire fourth quarter. I think Kyrie should have done was like he should have moved the ball around, or he tried to take it to the hole, like or there's a foul call, he could just go to the line, get the free line, they tie the game. Like I just think that's what Kyrie should have done instead of taking that long bomb 3-pointer. And that's what Luka was pretty much doing for quite a while, just taking his shots that he had to take during crunch time. I mean, Kyrie was killing it, but I'm not really against Kyrie taking like threes, but I think there's some times he shouldn't be taking that. But my thing about Luka, I think he needs to not be taking these long bomb 3-pointers like from half court logo shots, and if we're like up like two or we're down like a point or two. Like that was the problem Luka was doing. Just like definitely was he didn't play team ball for a little bit, but I think he's starting to kind of get better with that now and realize he needs to use his team. But I do the wish for Luke, best for Luke, and I not will miss him playing for about a month. But once he gets he's better 100%, we'll be ready to go and we'll be ready to rock and roll. And I think he'll be losing a chance to win MVP because he's been hurt so much this season. Especially he missed the preseason game because he hurt his calf at training camp before the season started. I just think he just needs to get in shape. That's my problem with him every single season. He's always not in shape every time the season starts. That's what really frustrates me with him. But he's a good player, but he definitely has some growing up to do, especially the way he be crying to the refs so he doesn't get his way a foul. But they're not going to call a foul every time. That's just how basketball is in the NBA. And my thing about the Mavericks going into this season, it's just I think they finally figured out the chemistry and they're finally working together. And Klay Thompson kind of had a rough game too, but he did hit some good shots in the fourth quarter, and he actually passed Reggie Miller for the most 3-pointers made in the game, which was really, really good for Klay. And I'm honestly proud of him, but I would have been more proud if he had the dub. And now I do want to talk about these some other news that's going around the NBA. Mike Brown was just fired today by the Sacramento Kings, and the Sacramento Kings are actually struggling right now. And that's who the Mavericks play on Monday night after they play Portland. They will be traveling to Sacramento and take on the Kings. And there's been a lot of trade rumors going around right now. And then they did talk about De'Aaron Fox may get traded to the San Antonio Spurs. I think will be a perfect fit for him. He's back in his home state. He could definitely help Victor Wembanyama. He's definitely a good guard to play around with. And I think it's time, and De'Aaron Fox's time is up in Sacramento. He hasn't really accomplished anything but make it to the playoffs, which is they lost the first round against the Golden State Warriors 2 years ago. And I just think it's time for De'Aaron Fox to get traded. And it's just he needs to be somewhere where he can start winning. He can help the team get better, especially with the Spurs. They got a lot of young guys around Wemby, and Wemby still needs some help. And so now about the Jimmy Butler rumors, and then today Pat Riley said that it's not true. They're going to trade Jimmy Butler and everything, and I don't know what's going to happen, but and Jimmy Butler did say, and they did say Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami before the trade deadline's over with. So I don't know what's going to happen with Butler. He's just been traded like nonstop, just demanding for money so much. I don't know what it is with Jimmy. I mean, he wasn't happy with. He wanted a contract extension with the Heat, but didn't get it. But we'll have to see what happens. But they said this after this season's over with, he'll become a free agent. So we'll have to see where what happens with Butler. So I think Jimmy Butler will actually end up leaving after this season. I don't think he'll be traded in the middle of this season, but I won't be surprised if he does get traded. Nah, I kind of take that back. I will be kind of surprised if he does get traded, but we'll have to see what happens. I just think Jimmy Butler should go to the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors. I just don't. I prefer not to bring him down here because we will have to give up a lot for Butler. They said if we was to get Butler, we have to give up Gafford, P.J. Washington, and a couple other guys. But I was like, no, we're not giving up these many guys for Butler. No, I don't trust Jimmy Butler coming down here to Dallas. I just think he'll mess up the chemistry if he was to play for the Mavericks. That's just me, and it's gonna be interesting what happens with him. I just hate that he's not getting what he's wanted in Miami, and hopefully he'll get a ring, but I don't think he'll get a ring with Golden State or Phoenix. So we'll have to see what happens, and as the when the trade deadline gets here. Well, that includes my podcast for today. I will see y'all on the next one, and hopefully the Mavericks will get the win over the Phoenix Suns tonight.